And away we go. It is the Two Hawaii Dance Podcast. We are back. And there he is. Hanson.
Aloha.
From Hawaii Events Unlimited is here. Now, the big discussion we always have is how to correctly pronounce people's names. Hanson, how do you pronounce your last name, my friend?
It's Win, like W-I-N, like for the win.
Some people go Nguyen. Some people go
Win.
Nguyen.
I don't know how they got the W off of the NG, but in Vietnamese it's pronounced Win, like W-I-N.
And local people, they make up their own kind of stuff.
Learn something new every day. Hanson, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast, Jason and Justin. And I guess to start, how's quarantine life been like for you, my man?
So far so good. It started off nice and easy, but we're getting kind of busy now, which is kind of a good thing. I'm doing a bunch of different things right now, so it's keeping my mind occupied.
A bunch is putting it nicely, a bunch.
Well, it seems like everything's opening up. It's like things are starting to slowly inch back to normal, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it's good and bad for what I'm trying to. Well, I mean, it's good. It's a good thing. I was just keeping busy with trying to deal with it all. So everything's gonna change once things open up, and I have to like pivot again to trying to figure out what to do next.
Gotcha. So for those who aren't familiar with Hawaii Events Unlimited, we've been saying that over and over again, and it sounds pretty self-explanatory to me, but for those who may not understand, what does your company do for folks?
We're a full events production company. So we do audio, lighting, video. We come with talent. We have our own DJs, MCs, special effects, projection, mapping. We do weddings, proms, graduations, corporate events. We do a lot of, proms and things like that. We just do all kinds of events, really.
Well versed in the industry, well versed.
Yeah. We try to be a one-stop shop for everyone trying to do an event.
Now, this is not your first entrepreneurial experience. We were talking before the show got started that you and I have known each other for a good 15 years. And I know we're sitting here talking about what you're doing right now, but for those who may not know, tell people a little bit about your history. You go back all the way to the dancing days. You were a dancer before anything else,
man.
Right, Hanson?
Oh, yeah. That was like 50 pounds ago, but I go by weight, not time. But yeah, I started off as a hip hop dancer, instructor, choreographer. It all started from there, really. My group got hired by a promoter to do a show at the O Lounge.
Okay.
And the promoter told me, just bring everyone to come and watch you dance. And I was like, sounds good. So a good 200 people came out to watch our crew dance. And he's like, you should just do this for a living. And I was like, what do you mean, like promote? He's like, oh, I'll pay you to bring people to come and dance. I was like, you're going to pay me money to come to your club and dance? Like, that makes no sense to me, but sounds like a plan. So it signed me up. And then from there, I became a nightclub promoter for about a good year. And then they took me on in-house, like Liz Watanabe, Gerald Oda. He was a general manager there who was leaving on his way out, asked me to step in as their promotional director. And then 2 months down the line as their GM at the O Lounge. And that's where I met you.
Absolutely. Now, those who may not be familiar, the O Lounge these days is now known as the Republic, 1349 Kapiolani Boulevard, right across from Ala Moana. This was back when you could still walk between the O Lounge and Ala Moana. There was an actual ramp between the nightclub and the mall. So you had people going to Mai Tais, the other clubs and other bars that were over there at Ala Moana, coming over to O Lounge. Back when I met you in around 2005, that was a good 15 years ago, but the nightlife scene in Honolulu was much different. There were a lot more people going out, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, my event there, we're doing like 1,000 people. And that was just me as one promoter. And other promoters were doing the exact same thing. So like nowadays, there's a lot of collaborations because you're trying to join forces to make an event awesome. But back then, one promotion company, you're pulling 800 people, and down the street, there's Rain Nightclub who's with Curious Guys who's doing another 800 people, and then up the street, Matty Guys are doing, Hana Room or wherever they're at, another 800 people. It was crazy back then. And every day of the week, there was something to do.
There were a lot more.
I was going to say that Level H was happening every week, and I remember I could count on a flyer being sent out every weekend that you were doing something. It was either at the O Lounge, it was where was the other places that you threw that you
I
turned?
mean, simultaneously, I mean, I think I was at one point doing 5 events a week. So, I
That's
mean,
right. Yeah, I remember those.
yeah, I mean, I was at I mean, there was O Lounge started off, but there was I was at Paparazzi at the same time. I was at Tsukiji's, and I was over at Bonsai and Birch Spot on Tuesdays, and then yeah, I was just kind of everywhere. I mean, I think I was on a radio interview a few weeks ago, and I had to tally up how many venues I couldn't. I was at like 37 or 38 different venues.
Were you always seeing the same faces, or were there different people going to different parties at different places?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you have the party people that came out every night, no matter what kind of event you were throwing. But I was always trying to diversify my crowd. On my Monday nights was all industry. On a Tuesday was my college crowd. On Wednesday was the Pauhana. Then on Thursdays I went back to the college age kids, and then the Friday Saturdays was for the weekends. The 21-year-olds on the Fridays, and then the 25-year-olds on Saturdays. So like I could graduate everyone through each day of the week, really, and everyone had a spot to go to, and I wasn't relying on one crowd.
And you see, Just, that's how he was able to do it. When you say, oh, you were out there all the time, I saw you 5 nights a week. Not every promoter was thinking the way Hanson was thinking back in the day, where you had different nights for different crowds. Like they were just like, I'm going to do the same party at different places. You weren't doing it that way.
Yeah, I was just trying to maximize. And honestly, I had to go to the events too. So if it was the same event 5 days in a row, I would be burned out. So like, I just started making events what I wanted to do on different days, because there was no real good Pauhana, like cheap drinks, one place where I could bust out my laptop and do some work and watch a video. And I kind of did that at Bonsai. That was the first time I really stepped outside the weekends to do a weekday. And I was like, this is fun. I can hang out with my friends, do some work, eat some food, have some amazing cocktails, and then wrap it up by, 12 o'clock and on to the next day.
Shout out to Bert.
Yeah. I was thinking that's that's like the blueprint if you want to throw a weekly schedule, because that's exactly how you want that. Okay, I want this crowd on this night, this crowd, tackle this, tackle that, tackle that. Not to mention your stable of DJs was awesome. Awesome stable of DJs.
Yeah, DJ Flip was my original DJ from day one, back when I first started O Lounge, and he's been my resident DJ since my very first party to the most current events. Now he's always been on my roster.
He's still at Hawaii Events Unlimited. He's one of the
and then honestly, that's how I got into this new company. Was I knew of the company, and I was like following them because they were already doing cool stuff that I never seen in Hawaii. And then I clicked on, and Flip was working for the company, and I'm like, oh, DJ Flip. And then they were, at the time, they were looking for another partner, another person to, actually not a partner, but someone to do their marketing. So, and I was like trying to already pivot to the next thing I want to do after nightclubs, because I can't be doing this forever. So I was just trying to think in the events world what I could do. And then they called me up while I was just at that right time where I was thinking about what to do next. And then had to sit down with them, and I realized, they booked, all their DJs were the DJs I worked with already. They had Big Mox, Chris Styles, all the MCs that we used for the club all worked for Hawaii Events Unlimited on payroll already. So I was like, this is like a daytime version of a nighttime nightclub job. It's crazy. So everything worked out.
I remember in that previous life that I used to live as a gentleman's club musical distributor, you actually mentioned to me that you were transitioning into this Hawaii Events Unlimited. I remember you dropping it a couple of times, and I was like, oh, okay, interested. And then, that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
No, it was like 4 years ago. 3 years ago, I kind of really started to thinking about it, and then I jumped on it. Things started taking off. It's really good right now.
Oh, the thing is, everybody gets old, you know what I mean? And how a lot of the MCs that you work with now at Hawaii Events Unlimited were the guys who used to be in the clubs. And
no, exactly.
Times change, tastes change. There aren't as many people going out anymore, but these familiar faces, these familiar voices, they still need to work. And that's what everybody seems to be transitioning into, is that next phase in their lives, the next thing. Because you're not staying out until 2 o'clock in the morning anymore.
No way. Those days they're done already for me. I'm already, for the last 2 years, like I've been hiring younger guys to, continue on, like, boots on the ground. Because I can't be out till 4 in the morning like I used to every day of the week.
But you could if you had to. You could.
Could if I had to.
He still soldiers up. You can find Hanson because he's also one of the best dressed guys in the room when he goes to the party. So if you look at the guy in
Bruh.
the tie, that's
I try.
usually Hanson.
I try.
In the
You know,
front.
there's this. There was You guys remember what's it called? What brand was that? The guy with the mask. He used to work for MMA promotions. Shucks, I can't remember
Mayhem
their name.
Miller? Oh.
No,
So,
it's
Tap
clothing company. Clothing company.
Oh.
Is it Tap
The
Out?
Tap Out. Yeah, the Tap Out guys. So I was listening to. They had like some kind of interview, and I mean, back in the day, I was just dressing however. But when I was listening to their interview, they said that when they were first starting out, they would print all these flyers and promo T-shirts, and after an MMA event, they would stand outside and pass out free shirts and free the flyers.
Yep.
And then when they went back to the car, they just saw them all over the ground, and they realized like when you hand to hand something like that, people sometimes don't even remember you. So that's why they started dressing up in their costumes and the face masks, and they said that after that, no matter what you handed them, they're never gonna forget you. So he said that when you do things like that, you should translate it into your own personal business. And I was thinking, if I'm a promoter and I want people to remember me as a promoter, I kind of have to dress the part. So I try to make sure no matter where I go, I'm looking the part.
Branding
You
101
did.
with
Yeah,
Hanson
you did.
right there. How to brand yourself as a player.
Well, people
Hit
want
that bell.
people have to trust your opinion and where to go and the fun things to do, and you have to play that. I'm gonna play that part, but you have to be that person, and
Absolutely.
ensure that trust.
Well, this is the Two Hawaii Dads podcast, so we do need to ask, and I wanted to know how this is personally going for you as well, because you are a dad, and you were a dad when you were in Clubland doing the
Yep.
club thing, and now you're still a dad, obviously, as you transition into your new phase of your life. How has your relationship changed, grown, whatever, with your son,
Mm-hmm.
as this change in your life has gone on?
Like I purposely was looking for a nighttime job when my son was born, because that way he was always with a parent. Like honestly, up until like 5 years ago, my son thought I never worked, because I put him to bed at 9 o'clock with my mom or dad, and I'd go off to work at 10, and I'd be there till 4 in the morning. Go to sleep for 2 hours and be up at 6 and take him to school. So he or take care of him during the daytime when he was little. So he never saw me at work ever. So I have a really, really close relationship with my son because I'm always there.
That's great. That's good to hear. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
so-
I mean, and that's that just sounds like the life of a nightclub promoter, right? There, you do your
Yeah.
work at night and take care of your business during the day.
Yeah.
Was that tough as you were doing it? I mean, it's pretty much a softball question. Obviously, it was tough, but how do you juggle not getting enough sleep, having to be a dad during the day, having to work at night? Like, how did you endure through all those years?
It was. I mean, staying up late was a lot easier when I was younger. So, my son's, 13 now. So when he was a baby 13 years ago, I was still kind of young. So I could be out, I could live on 2 hours of sleep. But my parents helped out a lot. I moved back home, which was really, really helpful because, I mean, we're living in Hawaii, man. Everything's expensive. And to find, childcare and a home these days was really tough. So I moved back home, which was a big help. And my parents helped out a lot. So I would come home and sleep for 2 hours and get up, take him to school nowadays. But back then I would, take care of him the first couple hours, and my mom would, let me nap for like 10 to 12, get some recharge, and then continue on when he woke up from his nap.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
so
that sounds Hawaii style. The family steps in, makes sure
100%.
that you
Yeah,
get
it takes
covered.
a village. Takes a village to
Takes a
raise a kid
village.
these days. Yeah.
So coming up, what we had also been talking about before we got on the podcast was that Hawaii Events Online is getting a lot of good publicity these days during the graduation season. If you've been watching the news or looking in the newspaper, you guys have gotten a lot of ink lately showing off what you guys do. How has graduation season been for Hawaii Events Unlimited? Because the graduates, it's a lot different, but it seems like
Yeah.
you guys are busier than ever.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we wanted to do something for the seniors, just because we're actually tied into the schools a lot, because we do most of their proms and their banquets and their luau's. So this year I think it kind of hit us hard. Like, we had like 16 proms canceled. So that's like 30, 40, $50,000 of profit that we lost in a matter of 16 days, really. So But at the same time, we were down on ourselves. But then we thought about the seniors, like their senior, their senior year, their senior prom, their senior graduation, all went out the door. So we wanted to do a bunch of uh, donations and things, and we realized that throwing events and certain things is what we're good at. So we started to reach out to different schools that had to cancel their proms, and we said, hey, if you want to do anything for graduations, we can run special effects, or if you want to do something on campus, we could, you could use it for stock footage for your virtual graduations now. And we've been trying to do things to make it more memorable for these, resilient seniors that haven't had a normal senior year. So, and once we started posting online, the news reached out to us a couple of times, and it's a snowball effect. More schools kind of reached out to us to hit us up, and it all started actually 2 weeks before that. We were starting to do tributes for the healthcare workers and the essential workers. We're partnering up with different businesses to put a message